Ladies and gentlemen, okay, we got a lot to talk about today. 11.1 mains, class balance changes, updates. We got a lot to dive into. Are you going to be changing your main in 11.1? If so, and why?
You know what, today we're going to get into talking about playstyle and the fun factor and whether you should pick your main based on what you find most fun or what's going to be the most powerful going into the next patch. We're going to talk about what our mains are personally between the two of us.
Now listen, I was pretty surprised hearing what your main was going to be this upcoming patch because class really hasn't been doing well pretty much all season one. We'll get into that. Major class balance changes so far. Listen guys, I'm sure as you've seen over the last couple of weeks on all of our content, we've been breaking down some of the updates, everything going on, and some of the class meta changes heading into the new season. I mean, right off the bat, we all know the major rework coming to marksmanship hunter, right?
Yeah, I think marksman right now is in a spot where it feels really slow, constantly focused, starved, and just seems like a mismatch of a bunch of different older versions of the spec jumbled in with this new talent tree, and it just didn't feel very good. It flows a lot better, and there's this new gameplay loop where it's like using your aim shots to get yourself your precise shots, and then your precise shots is making your aim shots cast faster, and just this kind of it's this interesting loop that they got going on, you know?
They also did a nice little rework to the talent tree. They added a lot of things. I mean, from what I've read on the forums, people, I'm not going to lie, they seem a bit mixed, whether they really like it or whether they just don't like it. I know there was also some issues where at first, they revealed that you wouldn't have a pet at all. And then people were super furious about that. They demanded that they can at least have the option to have their pet back. And literally within, what was it, a week? Less than a week?
Yeah, it was about a week.
Yeah, people got their pet back, so that was cool. But I think the highlight for Hunter overall has to be Beastmaster. You were doing some dungeons on your Shadow Priest. I mean, they were doing like 10, 12, 13 million damage. It was ridiculous numbers that they were doing.
If the numbers stand the way they are, which they won't, BM's probably going to be the best DPS spec in the game.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely out of control. They have power levels that can compare to enhancement. And plus the pack leader rework looks really good for them as well. But I will say, one of my favorite highlights that I'm excited to dive into are the warrior buffs, man. I just finished leveling up my troll warrior, as you saw just the other day, and I've been really enjoying it because warrior's simple, man. You go in there, you smash buttons, and you deal damage. That's what it's all about. There's no complications. The talent tree is simple.
You zug, and then you zug.
Exactly. You just zug in there, and it's fun. I've been, really diving into all of my, alternate characters during the end of the season, and I'm loving the additions they're doing for warriors. They're pretty much just flat out buffing them percentage-wise. And, I mean, I think that's what the class needs, right or wrong.
Well, considering in the last logs I saw, they were still at the bottom. So let's just keep upping those numbers. Because without those, they don't have those numbers. They're pretty much useless.
Here are the logs on screen from a couple weeks ago that we got from Eisen. Check out his YouTube channel. But these are the PTR mythic logs for the raid testing. And as you can see on the bottom, Fury and Arms are pretty much close to dead last, which was a problem.
Yeah, that's a big problem for a class that doesn't really bring too much to a raid or any group in general. Yeah, tough time to be a warrior if they don't buff it, so I'm glad to see they are getting those buffs.
Also, some other classes rising in power, which, started to pick up steam near the end of Season 1 is Destruction Warlock. You were playing this class for a long time in Season 1.
Yep.
And I'm not going to lie, this tier set is really excelling them to the next level as, a really top contender.
Yeah, Destro's looking pretty strong with the new tier set bonus, that 4-piece in particular. It seems like it's going to make them blast.
Nasty.
And, it's really nice to feel like Warlock might be in a little bit of a better spot. Pretty much all 3 Warlock specs were hovering around that middle of the pack to lower tier in the ranking, so it's going to be nice, and hopefully, they could be a little bit higher ranked this season. Warlocks without that damage, I mean, what are they? They don't bring good damage. Not much reason to bring them, right?
Yeah, you're going to bring your one Warlock and then move on. If you're really trying to push as hard as you can, you want to save as much buffs and space as possible for classes that can deal more damage and hold more utility. So it's interesting to say the least, but I'm excited for Destruction Warlock. I like how simple their 4 set is. It's all about just bringing more damage, activating that mastery buff even more. Things are looking good, but I will say Mistweaver also as a healer. I'm not really a healer player too much, I'm going to be honest with you, but Gust of Mist was doing really crazy numbers the last couple of weeks. They did tune it, they nerfed it just a tad bit, but things are still looking strong for Mistweaver. Their output is just so high between, their damage and healing. They're looking amazing right now. Easily amongst some of the best healer in patch 11.1 on the PTR so far. And I will say also, right off the bat on the PTR, one of the biggest surprises for me was Vengeance Demon Hunter. Man, you gotta know, Vengeance is flying around, they're slashing, they're dashing, and they look great. They weren't performing too well Season 1, I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty much the prop Paladin show, you know, from the 0.5 patch onward. But Vengeance Demon are coming into play out of nowhere, being probably the best, you know, damage dealing wise by far on the PTR, and then their durability is really high. So you know what happens if Vengeance Demon Hunter is good.
Yeah, they're that tank that kind of makes every other tank a little bit obsolete, right? Because they're mobile. I mean, the ceiling for the skill expression is just there, right? And they could do things that no other tank really can. I mean, the sky is the limit, right?
Yeah, I would agree. And then, you know, you also bring that 3% damage increase to your casters, which buffs all of them up as well. So it's like, you know, the sky's the limit when Vengeance Demon Hunter is the meta. And then also, another great one talking about Demon Hunter in general, of course, is Havoc. They've been doing crazy numbers the last couple of weeks. They've been getting a ton of love from Blizzard, so shout out to them. They never get any love. But some of their numbers was due to some bugs going on with their Soul Fragment generation and the Eldrachi Reaver spec. But, believe it or not, Blizzard is sort of, in a way, pretty much just stating as of the other day that they're going to sort of keep this bug, which is what it was previously, in the game and have it actually implemented into the talent tree, which is really good. It's going to increase their Soul Fragment generation, and for Eldrachi Reaver, more Soul Fragments equals more their Hero Talent Tree activation, more of that, more damage, so everyone's happy about that.
Guy, you know, it's kind of it's a little bit important to remember that trying to be the best is not the most important for everyone.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And while there's something to be said that if you're pugging and you constantly have to pug and try to go to that group finder, sure, maybe you want to play what's meta. I think if you have a guild, best to play what's going to keep you playing long term.
Yeah.
Right? Like what's going to keep you logging in and excited to raid. Sometimes about what's most fun, what you're most comfortable with, what that comfort pick and spec is for you, right?
Listen, everyone's got their own flavor, right? Everyone's got their own impression of what's fun in the game. Some people like Arms Warrior, some people like, you know, Affliction Warlock, whatever the case may be. I will say, last couple of weeks, me and Lance have been seriously enjoying the end of the season because we are strictly only playing class specs that we really love right now. I just got into Warlock for the first time ever, and me and Lance have been going on transmog runs. We've been doing achievements together. We've been doing the Mage Tower, getting, you know, all these things going, and it's, man, I can't believe how much fun I'm having at the end of a season just because I'm playing a spec and a class that I strictly find just so much fun right now. So it is a lot, but I will say some of the specs that are looking really fun on the PTR, the one that caught my eye instantly was Outlaw Rogue. Now, it may not be performing the best in the game on the PTR. It is true, there's a lot of really good melees out there, but man, it's so much fun. Remember, we were in that dungeon the other day, and I had like 4, 5, 6 Roll the Bones buffs up all the time, and for Outlaw, pretty big deal.
Kind of load those dice in your favor finally, right? It feels like that's been a pain point of Outlaws since Legion, where it's just like, okay, you either get a god tier roll or your DPS is crap.
Even considering the fact that Fatebound, you know, you're trying to flip that coin 7 times in a row to get that permanent buff throughout the fight. You know, you tie that into the fact with you're rolling the bones quite literally to roll if you're going to do good DPS or not. But now you're just, what Lance said, you're pretty much just stacking it in your favor. You're rolling 4, 5, 6 times. And things feel really good right now. You're slashing, you're shooting pistols, you're dashing around, you're hooking people, and you're feeling good.
Imagine in the middle of the fight, you flip a coin. As the coin's being flipped, you're rolling dice.
Wow.
All in a DM, like, Dungeon Master box.
Wow.
Before I whoop your ass. All right. I'm ready to go.
There it is. The Outlaw Rogue RP right there.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, even though, you know, Outlaw's really fun right now, Windwalker was a big surprise. I mean, Lance was on the PTR the other day. He's slicing around with that new freaking talent. He's doing his freaking fist punching all over. Look, this is his little guy right here, Panda Monk. He was killing it, dude. He was killing it, but...
I'm a Worgen Monk, and you know it.
Worgen Monk, the Paws of Fury, right? But it's cool, man. It's cool to see a lot of these classes get some updates that definitely could use some love. If they're not going to be the top of the meters, okay, fine. But they're going to be damn fun to play overall. And then a really cool tank that I'm excited for personally, that I've been playing a lot the last couple weeks, is Blood Death Knight.
No.
I know you're going to hate me for it, but it's really cool. I mean, their 4-set bonus is probably the only thing that makes them super fun, in my opinion, on the PTR. You're AoE death striking, and you're just getting ginormous shields. You're dealing chunky AoE cleave damage now. You combine that with your vampiric strikes in the AoE scenario. I mean, Blood Death Knight's looking fun. I don't think they're going to be a top contender or anything. I think that goes to Prot Vengeance. But, you know, Blood Death Knight might be an off-meta pick. That's just fun.
You know, it's important, everyone out there who's kind of listening to this, we make a lot of these videos talking about what's the best X, Y, or Z spec going into any killer patch or any, you know, hot fix that's kind of going into the game. But I want to make it very clear. While we kind of do that to inform everyone of what's going on, we don't necessarily think you should just pick what's the best.
That's true. It's true. You don't want to play something just for numbers. You'll get bored within a couple weeks. Happens to me every time.
Oh, yeah.
I try my best to just, you know, if I want to play something off meta, okay, I'll do so, but I'll make sure I'm good at it.
Play what you are most comfortable with.
Absolutely.
Most of the time. You know, it's also important to kind of remember when talking about maybe what character you want to play going into a patch. It's kind of like theme of the patch, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
I
with
remember, you know, going into the last patch of Dragonflight and going into, you know, the Emerald Dream. Felt a little bit weird being my Goblin Hunter going into the Emerald Dream.
Yeah, I would think that feels a little bit off. A money-hungry goblin going into the Emerald Dream. I would say that probably isn't a great fit if that's something you really care about. Because a lot of people out there, they care about stuff like that. They feel like, you know, from a role-playing perspective, in order for them to have the most fun that they can, you know, exploring the zones, completing all the quests, doing the story, and really listening to everything involved, you want to make sure you're the right race class combo that could fit that sort of thing. So what do you have to say about 11.1? What are some good options and maybe some bad options?
Well, actually, my goblin would be pretty cool going into this patch, wouldn't it? That'd feel pretty good. Going into the Undermined, man, they've been hinting this for 20 years now, right? We've been hearing about it, and the goblins have been a part of this lore in the game now, I mean, since day one. You know, you go into the Barrens and you see Gazlowe there, you see, you know, Noggenfogger's there, and all these goblins are in the game since vanilla. And now it's finally, you know, it's paying off. And listen, I don't think this patch should be taken too seriously, right? It's a fun patch. I mean,
think about it. You're Tokyo drifting around in the Undermine. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and take everything so seriously. I'm not trying to take everything so seriously. We just had a patch. We're fighting freaking Nerubians to the end. It was fun, don't get me wrong. And I love the story and where it's heading so far. But I think this is going to be an interesting direction that the story is taking. And I'm sure Lance is going to be telling me all about it on how the story ties together. You know, he's my little encyclopedia for all World of Warcraft story and information. So I'm excited for that as well. So, I mean, for me, I would say right off the bat, if you know, racial theme and class theme, I would say some great options. Goblin, what about maybe Coltiran? Coltiran could be a good option in going into the Undermine.
I like, you know, Gnome.
If
you're sticking to Alliance, I like Gnome. I like
Volpira.
Volpira is very cool.
It's cool, man. I mean, me and Lance are even talking about either swapping to maybe Volpira, maybe Goblin, maybe Coltiran, you know, as our mains heading into the next patch, just because the theme of it can be just so cool and fun, drifting around as a Goblin. You got your goggles on, and you're just freaking having a badass time, you know? So, I don't know. I think it's interesting, but the theme and the patch, it could definitely make an impact on your main decision as well, whether it comes to race or class as well. But anyways, now that we've talked about pretty much everything under the sun when it comes to just, you know, having some ideas on where you can head to a main, Lance, I gotta ask you, the people are dying to know, what is your main gonna be heading into the new patch?
Not sure if they're dying to know. Okay.
But maybe not dying.
But very nice Shadow Priest.
Very nice Shadow.
Staying. Yeah, we're gonna go hard into it. My Goblin Warlock is still there.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be playing him and Goblin Warrior.
Okay, Lance. Listen, there's no way Lance is gonna have enough time for a Goblin Warrior as well. Maybe an ult though. But that Goblin Warlock. So you heard it here, folks. Draenei Shadow Priest. Is there any particular reason why you're going Shadow Priest in the new patch? What, I don't understand. Are they making any changes? Last time I checked, looks like they're getting pretty much ignored on the patch notes. What's going on, Lance?
No changes to Shadow at all. There's been nothing mentioned in regards to it, but I've just been having a lot of fun with it. It's,
okay.
You know, Shadow Priest is my roots. You know, I've been really enjoying the difference in playstyle between Archon and Void Weaver, and you have two different playstyles, so it's like, wow, yeah, you only have one DPS spec when you're playing Shadow if you're only going to play DPS. Kinda, you know, they're different, right? Like one uses Void Eruption as their cooldown, one uses Dark Ascension. Void Weaver, you got those 30-second kind of go windows, and then Archon, you have those 1 minute and 2 minute go windows, so it's pretty cool. I'm enjoying it a lot. I think after all the reworks in Dragonflight, they got Shadow in a pretty good spot right now. I do wish we had 2 Shadow Crash charges, but
True.
you know,
Shadow
that
Crash
might
is
be a little
another.
bit too strong.
The Shadow Crash is a problem for another day, apparently, for Blizzard. They're gonna go ahead and pass on you guys
Okay.
entirely this patch. Maybe the rework coming in midnight.
Wait till we get our Void expansion.
Oh, yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that one. But ladies and gentlemen, for me, this patch, I think I'm going to have to go with Warlock. Now, I do have a lot more time to play on my hands than Lance. Lance runs his company. He's got a family. He's a busy man. So I do have more opportunities to play more classes. Right off the bat, though, I'm looking at Demonology and Destruction Warlock. They're looking very, very strong. I'm hoping Affliction gets some changes or updates maybe sometime in the future. I'm not loving the whole, I only use dot effects to just use Malefic Rapture. I don't know. Something about that doesn't really feel right. The whole Vile Taint, Curse of Agony issue, I'm not really loving that. But Demonology is looking really good. I like their tier set so far. They're performing pretty well. And Destruction, obviously, is amongst one of the better classes in the entire game on the PTR right now. So let's hope that keeps it up. But then, for alternate characters, I've been leveling up a lot. I've been doing so much testing on the PTR as of the last couple of weeks. I'm really enjoying Blood Death Knight.
Oh, yeah.
I'm loving the buffs to Arms and Fury Warrior. They're starting to feel juicy again. And if Warrior can deal some damage, I mean, they'll actually be invited every once in a while. You know what I mean? So those are two that are, up on my top list. And then lastly, I do have the Outlaw Rogue. So we do have a lot of options. Maybe, I could race change someone to a Goblin, maybe a Vulpira, have some thematic things going on there. I know Lance was talking about maybe having his Goblin Warrior strictly for doing quests in his own.
I'm a big lore master, right? I like to do every single quest. I like to go in there. I completed all the quests so far already in the War Within. I like the idea and the fantasy of being a Goblin Warrior, putting a big ass mace on my back, riding around the Undermine, extorting people for money for protection, and kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah, I mean, what better way to RP Undermine? But listen, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot of things coming in the future. We need to know from you all. What are you guys going to be maining in 11.1 and why? Are you changing your main? Keeping it the same? Are you going for the meta experience or are you going for something a little bit more fun and thematic? We're dying to know in the comment section below. By the way, Lance, thanks for being a special guest today. We all know that Lance can't make it too often, but when he's here, ends up being a party.
And guys, don't forget, we are a couple of weeks away from the patch and even a few more weeks away from the raid and the season actually opening up.
Yeah.
Expect many more balancing changes.
Yeah, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be putting out a lot more content over the next couple of weeks. We're going to have balance changes, updates, and we're also going to be making a list based on the most fun classes you could main overall heading into the new patch. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. It's always a pleasure making content for you all. My name's Sky.
I'm Lance.
We will see you all in the next one. One last note we wanted to make. If you're looking for a guild or people to progress through Mythic Plus with or raid with next season, the Comeback Kids are recruiting, and any and all players are welcome to come on down, play with us. We're looking to fill out some new members for the raid. Oh my god, we fucking did it. Oh my god, let's fucking go, bro. Let's fucking go. That's how that shit gets done. If you're on the Horde, you can simply just go to the guild tab and search up the Comeback Kids, and we should pop up. Make sure you do have the guild size on any so you can actually see us. Either way though, if it doesn't work, you just use the Discord link in the comment section below. Hop in there and verify, get yourself in, and then we can get you invited by you posting your name and server under the guild invite tab.